Justin Kendall, assistant editor of Brewbound, and we're here on the Livestream Lounge at Paradise Point, brought to you by Evans Brewing Company. We couldn't do it without them, and I'm sitting here with John Reardon, owner of Deep Ellum Brewing. John, how are you enjoying Brewbound?
Loving it, absolutely. Paradise Point, couldn't ask for a better location to talk about some craft beer.
Yeah, that's why we're here. Well, first, tell me a little bit about what you guys are working on beer-wise. Like, what are you excited about that you've got coming up?
Oh, we've got so much in works right now. On pace for about 33,000 barrels this year, expanding into a full sour program in a separate facility, expanding our current facility. So just constant growth. I mean, Texas, being such a big market, just has an insatiable, thirst for craft beer, luckily for us. So just trying to dominate that market and beyond.
We're seeing a lot more breweries moving toward like a sour specific facility. Tell me like the pros and cons of you moving into a separate facility to do that type of program.
Well, sure. The whole sour wild ale, I guess, concept is it's still very niche when compared to the larger, the larger market as a whole. But for us, it's what keeps us engaged and sort of keeps us excited, keeps the brewers excited. Maintaining a barrel program and really just pushing the boundaries in the spectrum. And, we'll see if the market kind of comes up to it or, either that or we're just, making some good beer that we enjoy drinking.
I mean, we just saw a presentation in which they were talking about how sour seems to be a way of reaching consumers that haven't necessarily indexed toward beer. So, I mean, are you sort of looking at this as a way to sort of branch out and hit, a consumer base such as the female consumer base?
I don't think we ever really thought of it in that manner, but it's interesting because I did see that the sour ales actually index higher with female consumers, which was, and then of course, the acidity of sour beers tends to lean more towards a wine drinker. So I think absolutely we can bring in some fringe consumers, but also it's it's about keeping the beer geeks, for lack of a better word, engaged in our brand and excited about what we're doing.
For sure. And one thing I wanted to get into too is there are quite a bit of legal actions going on in Texas right now against the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, and you're one of the ones leading the charge there. Tell us a little bit about I think it's called Operation Six Pack.
Operation Six Pack to Go. So that was actually a crowdfunding campaign, more to raise awareness. We only raised about 30 grand from that campaign, and we've spent well over 300,000 actually, in battling our suit. But yeah, the Attorney General's office right now in the state of Texas is having a very busy year. Walmart's got a lawsuit against them. Obviously, they did the distribution lawsuit. There was just one, and now it's being appealed. And then there was the Crowler controversy. But our lawsuit specifically is for us to have the right to sell our beer to go. In Texas, we've got wineries, distilleries, and even brew pubs, which is only a state-level distinction in Texas, all with the ability to sell their beer or their products to go. But brewers, as we're called, for whatever reason, we're being singled out and I believe unfairly treated.
So now this would be an equal protection fight that you're going after?
That's exactly right. We're challenging this in federal court under 14th Amendment and equal protection, the Commerce Clause, and it's a very, very difficult lawsuit to win. We just had oral arguments a week ago at the University of Texas School of Law. The judge called for that, which was kind of rare in this type of case. Typically, it's just motion for summary judgments. The facts go in, and the judge makes the ruling. So the judge's comments, though, were actually very critical of the TABC. The TABC is all about temperance and safety and welfare of the general public. They don't want people just running around the streets, I guess, drunk all the time. I don't know why us selling beer to go would be any different than anyone else, but these are the rules or the arguments they make and the ones we got to beat.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out is how you justify a brew pub being able to sell to-go beer versus, a microbrewery. Like,
they just can't. I mean, really, their arguments are so, just asinine, to be honest, for really the best word. But, that's really it. I mean, they don't have a very good argument. Literally in Texas, you can drive through a beer barn, get a frozen daiquiri with nothing more than a piece of cellophane keeping you from drinking that while in the car. However, they made the argument that the possibility of the legislator for making the laws the way they are is like wine being able to sell to go it's typically more difficult to open a wine bottle than it is a beer bottle, which we know is not true because now we've got screw top wine, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually better for the wine. So, yeah, the state's having a tough time arguing this one, and our fingers are crossed, and we should know here pretty soon.
So how far along are we, and like when can we sort of expect the next decision?
I think the judge asked for a joint motion for a continuance, so our court date was actually December 16th. We do not believe there's going to be a court. There's actually going to be a trial, but we are extending the date. I know the judge has had a lot to think about on this one. This is obviously going to set a lot of precedents. And it's really rewriting the way we're going to start fighting laws that don't make sense in Texas, or I guess any state for that matter, because the court system is a way to take the lobbyists and the special interests out of the equation. So when it's just a judge looking at the facts, some of these laws really have a tough time standing up on their own.
So we still have a long way to go before this is going to be resolved, it seems?
I believe we'll have a ruling here in the next few weeks.
So next few weeks we'll have the ruling. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they're probably going to appeal, you think?
I was very hard on the belief that the state has no interest in appealing. I mean, they're playing with tax dollars. They should have the duty to give their best case, first. And if they lose that, they should accept, the opinion of a federal judge. But, they just threw me for a loop when they appealed the last one. So.
Yeah, and that was the distribution and territorial rights.
Correct.
And then, yes, there's the Crowler issue that's going on, which...
That's right.
Was that an actual raid that they did on the coffee shop?
I got to give credit to the owner of Cuvée Coffee. Never met him, but, when he was told that he could no longer continue filling beer in Crowlers, he just said, okay, well, I'm going to continue doing it anyway. And just let them come and take it. I think they had like shirts or something that was basically come and take it. But so yeah, I mean, he kind of brought it on himself, but that's the way you do it to get the hearings process started. So yeah, and again, the TABC is fighting that decision. So
yeah, sounds like a long road to go, but yeah,
it's unfortunate because the TABC means two things, right? It's the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Code, but we have the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. The commission enforces the code that was written by the legislators. So, I think they should take one shot at enforcing it and just let it be, and then that should send the message back to the legislators that, hey guys, we need better clarification, we need better change. Maybe you need to start listening to both sides of the equation, both sides of the conversation, or maybe just start listening to consumers in general and, start getting these laws right.
If you get this changed, what do you think it's going to do for your business?
I mean, it's going to have an amazing impact, no question. I mean, being able to sell to go because, as we know, beer is a very big tourism business now. I mean, I'm going to visit a couple breweries out here in San Diego, but I'm not going to stop into a grocery store or a liquor store to pick up a six-pack to go. However, if I'm there in that decision, I'll absolutely pick up some beers, throw them in my bag, and take them back for the guys back home.
For sure. I mean, beer tourism is so huge.
Absolutely.
So, and I mean, we all do it. We are all fans of beer, else we wouldn't be here.
But it's a sale, no question, that would otherwise be lost because, again, I'm not going to stop by a grocery store on my way to the airport to buy beer. But I would absolutely buy, a limited release or something special from the brewery, from the people who are making it, as a souvenir, in fact.
Well, we're getting close to being out of time here, but, I wanted to hit on one more thing. It seems like the Texas landscape's changing a little bit. We've seen a couple of big acquisitions there by the major players, Carbach, Revolver. What are you seeing on the scene now? I mean, like, how are these moves being viewed among the craft community?
I mean, there's backlash, obviously. I just saw the RRI data, and Revolver's doing quite well, but I would imagine that's from more placements. Obviously expanded distribution and whatnot. I have to say, I mean, I knew ABI was going to be buying in Texas. I knew Miller Coors was going to be buying in Texas. I'm kind of glad because it took two big players off the list for true craft, and I want to be the largest independent brewer in Texas, and that obviously helped me leapfrog a couple spots. So, moving on up.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, congrats, and thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we've got a ways to go here. We got a couple more guests coming on, but I cannot wait to find out what happens with the TABC and Deep Ellum's fight there.